Hello everyone, it is that time of week. It's Monday, which means it's time for another episode of Ask a Freelancer with Denise. So I got some really great questions and I wanted to jump into them. First off, I wanted to give a shout out to Jessica for being a loyal fan. She had some extra questions after last week, and here they are. So, Jessica, your first question was, how do you bill clients and receive payments? And that's a great question. It definitely varies from client to client. One of the best things that I've found about freelancing platforms like UpWork or freelancer.com is that they have secure payment processes, which is great for beginning freelancers. It'll allow you to kind of just make the payment through the app. And it kind of gives you the security of knowing that your money won't get lost and you won't get swindled by anyone. However, the most annoying part about this is that these platforms do take a bite of your pay. I honestly find UpWork worse about this, but there are perks to using UpWork. Like the more you work with a client, the more their commission rates go down. So as far as I know, freelancer.com does not do anything like this. That being said, you'll get to the point where you will be working with clients long term, and chances are you won't be using sites like UpWork after you are done, or like after you've worked with them for a long time. So I recommend that beginning freelancers get a PayPal account set up, and this is especially helpful to receive the most pay you can from long-term clients in a quick manner. It also helps you remain secure, and you'll find out that PayPal does they also take a chunk out of your paycheck. But as of last year, you could write that chunk off in your taxes. I am not sure how that is going to be impacted by the new tax bill. So definitely check in with an accountant if you use one. That's the word I was looking for. For some clients, though, it kind of was the last thing, I get traditional checks in the mail. This isn't my preferred method. I mean, there's always the worry about it getting lost. It does take an insanely long amount of time. I had one client who sent me a check and I didn't get it for 2 months. It was absolutely ridiculous. And that's just because it has to go through their payment processing. Whereas PayPal, you just get it usually the same day. Or sometimes you have to nudge your clients and be like, hey, sent you a PayPal invoice like days ago, please pay me. But PayPal is generally the quickest, cheapest way to get those things other than the mail, which is not quick at all. And usually the only clients that I have to take checks from are large corporations who have a lot of legal stuff they have to jump through and, can't necessarily pay through PayPal. That's fine. I like getting paid. Just not always the most convenient. So, Jessica, your next question was, what scheduling techniques do you like? And then, do you keep planner? Do you use apps? What works best for you? Which is another great question. I covered it a little bit in my last episode of Ask a Freelancer, but there are definitely tried and true methods that I stick to. So the first method is I definitely do use a hardbound planner. Mine's from Gallery Leather Company Incorporated out of Trenton, Maine. I actually did not get this while I lived in Maine. I was looking for a planner in Bend, Oregon last year, and I went into a shop and picked up this really nice black leather-bound journal, and I was like, wow, I love this. And I opened it up and saw it was from Maine, and other than being loyal to Maine, it's been a great planner. So I've ordered the same planner, same color every single year. I don't do that with many things. I like to change things up a lot, but I'm probably not going to change my planner. That being said, I do sometimes also need a little extra focus, and that's when I use the app Todoist, which is free on the App Store or on Android. You can also use it from your computer as well. I ended up using it on my computer before I had a functioning iPhone. And it kind of structures your day like a planner, but it also allows you to set limits for yourself through the use of alarms and emails and things like that. So I use that on days when I need a little extra structure, like when I have a lot of work that I need to get done by certain deadlines. That's when I use it. And then Jessica, your last question I absolutely love, and that is, have you ever fired a client, and what are your client red flags? So let me first start out by saying that even the nicest clients can drive you nuts some days, and that's because they don't see what you're doing in the background. You've got heaps of projects, you know, a lot of times my clients at least will think that they're my only client, and I have to constantly remind them, no, you're not my only client. You only pay me $800 a month. I can't live off of $800 a month. Of course you're not my only client, you know? So they don't see that you have heaps of projects, you have taxes to get done, you have to keep track of all your expenses so you can pay quarterly taxes, which is a pain in the butt. But it's even more of a pain in the butt if you don't keep track of your expenses. So, and then you also have future projects that you want to get done. So, I mean, as we speak, I'm recording and I have Skype flashing in the background with one of my clients messaging me. You know, and so I'm like, I have my own projects, you have your projects, I will get them done, but you sometimes have to remind clients that who work on me time, like time that centers only around them, that your time is not only about them. And, you know, if you mention in your job description on your website or on your profile, whatever you use to promote your work, that you can do 24-hour turnaround times, then that's one thing. I know on my website, that's not how I work. I will never, ever promise anything in 24 hours unless they want to pay me extra for it, because I don't have time for, you know, I schedule out my time very strictly. So I cannot magically do a project by the end of the day most days if they give it to me the same day. So clients can be annoying, but they can also just not have any red flags. And, you know, just being annoying is not a red flag. That's just humans. So that being said, oh boy, do I have some red flags for you. Really just two big ones that I find to be red flags. And these are based off of my own personal experiences. So my first one's for ghostwriters specifically, which is what I did a lot of when I first started out freelancing, which is really fun, but it also can be really trying. So for ghostwriters especially, do not work for a rate that is based off of the success of your writing. So, and this is not saying that, you know, you shouldn't give your client the best writing. You generally always give your client the best writing. I'm a good writer, but once one of my clients promised me $2,000 to write essentially like a large novel in parts. And as a beginning freelancer, I was like, ooh, $2,000. Now I would not take $2,000. I would ask for more. But, you know, I was writing it for a couple weeks, and then about midway through the first part of that story, he said, you know, I'd really prefer to pay you based off of sales. And I gotta say, fired after that. You know, you don't go back on your word about what you're gonna pay someone. I mean, I had to basically level with this client and say, hey, this is my livelihood. I understand that you want me to write the best, but I am writing the best. But since this is my job, I need to get paid. So you need to pay me. I will not be working off of the sales of your book. And I don't think anyone should ever be lured into the I'll pay you after the sales sort of mindset. Frankly, this guy who I was working for him had some cliche ideas for his novel that I don't even think Stephen King could have turned around. So, I mean, I worked on them because they were kind of like based on a personal story of his that I thought was really compelling. And I tried to work with his parameters, but I ended up for that project asking for a partial payment for the first installment, which I completed, of the series, and then I quit. And all I gotta say is his poor publicist. So I think I mentioned this a little bit in my last episode, but this is the same client who would call me 8 times a day and who would call me, you know, at unreasonable hours, like 1 or like 11 p.m. at night or 4 in the morning. So little red flags, like, is this person being unreasonable? Like, calling you 8 times a day while you're trying to write a novel is unreasonable. And also unreasonable is asking for you to do money or to do work without getting paid. Absolutely unreasonable. Big red flag. Don't do it. And that kind of leads me into my next point, which is for freelancers specifically. So people who do copywriting jobs for companies or for individuals, don't let people ask you for an unpaid test article, which you'll see a lot on freelancer.com. It's absolutely unacceptable. You have a profile and you have a website that showcases your writing for a reason. And, you know, if you are kind of starting, put some of your work that you've done personally up there, you know, like showcase your blog, showcase volunteer articles you've done, but don't ever ask anyone to, or don't ever listen to anyone who asks you to do an unpaid test article. In my experience, that's shown that they are not ready to pay you a lot, and they don't actually value what you're writing. They're looking for quantity over quality. Your portfolio should be sufficient to any company or person worth their status. If they ask for a test article, offer to share with them a related published article, or ask for a small fee. A lot of folks will pay you a small fee if they ask for a test article. But always remember that your time is worth money. I mean, sometimes you do have to use your best judgment, but I always opt for getting paid. One of my best paying clients that I work for currently actually asked for a test article and offered my hourly rate for it. And now he actually pays me more than what I had originally asked for, which is super nice. And then another one of my best paying clients did ask for an unpaid test article, but this was for a contract, a very well-paying contract, and it's a big company that was asking for it. And they didn't ask for a lot. They asked for 100 words toward an article that they would have me write if they liked my writing. And they just wanted to make sure that my tone fit with what they were looking for. And then after that, they're like, oh, okay, well then write the rest of the article, we'll pay you for it, and here's your contract. So use your best judgment with paid tests, and avoid not getting paid for your writing unless you think it'll be worth it. Like in that case with a client with a large contract, I figured 100 words unpaid is worth the potential of getting or landing a large contract like that.